What's up, self-healers? Lisa Lightfeather here. Welcome to my channel, Closing the Gap. We make a conscious effort to meet you where you're at on your healing and your spiritual journey. Today, I wanted to come on and speak about the topic of a Kundalini Awakening, which is a powerful spiritual awakening that I believe is designed for the empath. So what is Kundalini? First and foremost, Kundalini is every human being's right. So I'm not saying that the narcissist cannot have a Kundalini awakening. So what is Kundalini? So within each human body, Kundalini lies dormant at the base of the spine of the human. Yeah? And this energy lies there coiled up. The word Kundalini means she that is coiled. And so the energy lies coiled up at the base of the spine. Now, if you look at the medical symbols that are on the hospitals, right? So the medical symbol with the staff and the two snakes going up it and the wings at the top, that's referred to as a caduceus. And so that's the traditional medical symbol, especially here in the West. If you look on the side of the ambulance, you'll see one staff with one snake going up it. And that's referred to as Asclepius. So what does that symbol mean? The staff in the center symbolizes the spine of the human being. This is the one with the hospital, or let's just go with the one with the ambulance. It's the spine of the human being. And it has one snake going up it. The reason the one on the side of the ambulance only has one snake going up it is because the ambulance is designed for emergency care, emergency medical teams. That one snake symbolizes the actual body, the flesh. The caduceus at the hospital that has the two snakes going up it, one side symbolizes the body, the flesh, and the other side symbolizes the spirit. When you get into an ambulance, there's no social workers there trying to ensure that you're okay. There's no counselors there trying to ensure that your mental health is okay. There's no rabbis or priests there trying to ensure that your spirituality is okay. So at the hospital, they are supposed to bring the two together. The ambulance saves the body. The hospital takes the body and the spirit and combine it together, right? In theory. So up that spine of the caduceus, the spine of the human being, right, or of the human being, of the spine of every human being, there is something called 7 chakras. Now, most of us in this spiritual community have heard about the 7 chakras, right? Chakra means spinning wheel. You have the root chakra at the base of the spine, the sacral chakra in the area of where the uterus may lie, or just below the belly button. You have the solar plexus in the stomach of the spine. You have the heart chakra in the heart of the spine. You have the throat chakra in the neck of the spine. You have the third eye chakra going up into the skull, and then you have the crown chakra, which is how you connect to the heavens. So chakra means spinning wheel. When these wheels are not spinning properly, there's blockages. Within each chakra, there is something called nadis. So you want to look at nadis. Let's just use the term like they're like wires coming off of each chakra. So the chakra is the primary energy source, and it sends energy out through the body. So theoretically, you have thousands of chakras, but we're talking about the main 7, because what we're speaking about today is a Kundalini awakening. But I want to lay the foundation so that when I speak about this, you know what I'm talking about. So these nadis spread out. These nadis are connected to different organs. So let's just use the solar plexus chakra, which is in the stomach. It's the primary energy center right here, right, of the stomach area. And then the nadis branch out. they branch out to the spleen, they branch out to the liver, they branch out to the gallbladder, they branch out to the whatever organs are there, right? The heart primary center will branch out to the lungs, it branches out to the arms, it branches out to the breast area, the chest area. The throat will branch out into the ears, nose, and throat. Yeah. So these are the primary energy centers. You have 7 of them that align up the spine of every human being. And within every human being, in that root chakra that lies at the base of the spine, right at the bottom of the spine, lies Kundalini energy. And like I said earlier, the word Kundalini means she that is coiled. Kundalini is a feminine energy. In every human being, regardless of gender, feminine and masculine has nothing to do with gender. So when you see those 2 snakes on the caduceus at the hospital, one side, the left side, is the feminine energy. This is in every human being. The right side is the masculine energy. When you say, oh, that woman is very masculine, it's because the left side, the feminine energy, is out of balance. Or that man, he's so feminine, the masculine energy is out of balance. And when you have a Kundalini awakening, the goal of Kundalini is to balance the 2. But it doesn't just happen. There's work that is required, dedication that is required. So how does one have a Kundalini awakening? There's several ways that a Kundalini awakening can occur. One can have a spontaneous Kundalini awakening. Via accident. Maybe you're in a car and boom, the back gets jolted and the Kundalini awakens. Or they can have a spontaneous Kundalini awakening via surgery. Women can have a spontaneous Kundalini awakening while giving birth. And they have a similar version of Kundalini awakening every month when they have their moon cycle. Their mood changes. They get some type of way. Kundalini is... Kundalini is represented by the snake. Women can also have a Kundalini awakening when they are going through menopause. It can activate the Kundalini. This is one reason why you see women of my age group that really dive into their spiritual life, dive into whatever dive into the occult or dive into metaphysics. They just dive into it because a lot of times women who are healthy, which I'm just gonna say the empath really, they will tap into their spirituality. Other ways that Kundalini can awaken is through a powerful sexual connection with someone. If someone has already had a Kundalini awakening and the person they're with has not had a Kundalini awakening and they join together in a sexual encounter, the person who has not had a Kundalini awakening can have a Kundalini awakening. Not that Kundalini is contagious, but the energy is transferable. You can have a Kundalini, if your yoga instructor has had a Kundalini awakening and you're in their yoga class every day, once a week, the energy is transferable and you can ultimately have a Kundalini awakening by working under that instructor. So speaking of yoga, yoga is one of the ways that you can activate a Kundalini awakening. Because you're stretching, you're opening the chakras. And the moves that you're doing during yoga correlate to that energetic body, the chakras. Another way that you can have a Kundalini awakening is through meditation, a dedicated practice to meditation, Also with the yoga, it's a dedicated practice. It's not you go to one yoga class or you meditate one time, you're going to have a Kundalini awakening. Now with that sexual encounter, it can happen that one time. Additional way that you can have a Kundalini awakening is by working with plant medicine. Plant medicine connects to the energetic body and can activate Kundalini to run up the spine. When activating Kundalini, one needs to be careful. So it's best that one does yoga, meditations, makes it a practice in their daily life. Because trying to activate Kundalini on purpose is very dangerous. So people who have a spontaneous Kundalini awakening, they can spaz out, empath, narc, whatever, it doesn't matter. Because when Kundalini awakens, we're going back to the chakras now. Hang in there with me. Kundalini awakenings, it opens up in the root chakra, and then that energy, that snake-like energy, starts winding up through the energetic body. The energetic body, which is the chakra system. Now, when one experiences tons of trauma, which most empaths have, the chakras are blocked. So if you experience sexual trauma, the sacral chakra will be blocked. That trauma stores there. If you've experienced homelessness, the root chakra will be blocked. That trauma stores there. You've experienced lack of food, shelter, clothing, safety, that root chakra will be blocked. If your power has been taken away from you through domestic violence, through sexual assault, through child molestation, that solar plexus will be blocked. Need we talk about the heart? If the heart has been shattered and broken, the heart chakra will be blocked. If you were never able to speak your truth as a child or even as an adult or abused spouse, man or woman, you can't speak your truth because you're being dominated. The throat chakra will be blocked. You've never had a spiritual practice or anything. You can have intuition with the third eye, but the third eye can be blocked. Right? Spiritual abuse, which happens a lot in narcissistic relationships if the narc is spiritual or religious, or there has been no contact with higher. A lot of times the empath will have a third eye and a crown where they know there's something more. But these areas can be blocked where there's no connection to your higher self. There's no intuition. So the chakras hold trauma. Now the chakra means spinning wheel. The spinning wheel spins in a clockwise manner. But when the chakras are blocked, they stop spinning. Now certain chakras they spin counterclockwise or clockwise. If a chakra is just wide open, say for example, the sacral chakra is wide open and it's just spinning crazy clockwise, in the right direction, but super fast and super open, that person can be very promiscuous. If the third eye or the crown opens for some reason and it's just open and wide and just spread out open, that person can have what the DSM-5 refers to as a spiritual emergency. They start going crazy. That's a lot of the schizophrenics that you see, walking down the street talking to themselves. They can start seeing stuff with the third eye being wide open. This is why you need to work with Kundalini in a smart way, because it can be dangerous just to open it up and then you don't know what you're doing. And so the third eye can open and then they start seeing stuff, because I'm in this room alone, but am I? When that third eye is open, you know that you're not. Intuition is very keen. When the third eye is open, normally and healthy, you can look at a person. They don't even have to say a word. You know who they are. But if it's open wide and it's just spinning out of control, which usually happens with a top-down Kundalini awakening, because it can come bottom up which is the way that you prefer it to happen, or it can come top down. One can get schizophrenic. Okay, so when Kundalini starts rising up the spine and breaking through the chakras are, they're sick because all of your trauma lies there, even trauma you don't know about. And so I like to compare it to, you know, those cement things. This was my experience, so everybody won't have that, but this is my experience. Those cement drills that the construction workers use, and they're like drilling through cement. Kundalini is like that. She's like chopping through those chakra centers. So when she chops through the root chakra, all of your trauma starts coming up. One has to be able to deal with that, or they can lose it. Chops through the sacral chakra. All of your sexual trauma will come up. Stuff that you don't even remember that happened. Remember being molested in a diaper. Like, it will break through that energy. And as that comes up, you have to process it. You have to do your inner child work. You have to do your shadow work. It requires discipline. And it requires a dedication to the path. It starts going through the solar plexus chakra. And all of a sudden, all of your anger comes out. Now you're mad. Mad to the point of being dangerous. Because most empaths repress. They don't speak up for themselves. They don't take care of themselves. They're just constantly rescuing with no reciprocity. A lot of empaths never get reciprocity. And there's a deep-seated anger behind that. The unhealed empath. So Kundalini works its way up until it comes through the crown chakra. My point about bringing that part up was that sometimes Kundalini gets blocked. Like, it'll typically, if you have a Kundalini awakening during sex, it'll typically go up to the heart and stop. And so now you're working with survival, the root chakra. You're working with sexual energy and creativity, the sacral chakra, and you're working with power, control, and confidence with the solar plexus chakra. But Kundalini is there in those three just spinning. And she's doing that because if she went from the root to the crown, it'd be too much to handle. So she seems like she comes in, and now I'm telling you my experience. It seems like she comes in sections like, okay, we need to get this out of the way. But during that time, if it's blocked at the heart, you may be in survival mode. The walls may close in on you. You may feel like you need to run. You may have to deal with repressed anger. You may have to deal with repressed sexual energy that you've never tapped into. And along with that is darkness. Let's use sexual energy for an example. Along with that is darkness. When Kundalini is working through your root chakra, your sacral chakra, and your solar plexus, you can feel the sexual energy of people all around you. And you can mistake it for your own. This requires discipline and an inner knowing. It's hard work. Your own sexual energy can come up. You can be confused about your sexual desires. Like, what do I want? Who do I like? Do I like women? Do I like men? What is going on here? Stuff can come up like for me, it was like, and I think this was a combination of the anger was bondage that was connected to my anger. I could not digest the idea of bondage. I still can't. And so I worked with it by working with shibari, which is the art of Japanese rope tying. In shibari, I could digest, and it helped with that shadow. Because you're so used to being subdued That was part of the trauma. Now, Kundalini can stay blocked in a couple of chakras for a while because the trauma is so much, she has so much work to do. And she can't give you all that work at once. Like it's a constant ongoing thing. So moving right along, and Kundalini could be years later that it breaks through the heart. You've even forgot that you were going through a Kundalini awakening. Something happens in your heart, gets broken, you're sad, whatever. And Kundalini sees the opening. She goes through the heart. When she goes through the heart, there may be tons of crying, remorsing, grieving. And then there may be tons of bliss. Everything is beautiful. You can look at a field of flowers and cry. Because the heart is being worked with. Now you're grieving your childhood. You're grieving your teenage years. You're grieving your young adulthood. You're grieving your life. One has to do shadow work. Because a lot of times when Kundalini goes through the heart, that's when that inner child shows up. Remember me? The one who wasn't loved, the one who wasn't touched unless it was inappropriately, the one who wasn't seen unless someone was violating them. Remember me? She or he shows up. And baby, let me tell you something about that one. Now you have to mother it. You have to father it. You have to love it. Sometimes you have to kill it and rebirth it again. It gets dark. Kundalini awakening gets dark. And so one has to be a person who can see themselves, a person who can see themselves. The narcissist has a false self, a false identity. They are not capable of seeing themselves. The psychopath is not concerned about seeing themselves. Now, I might say that the borderline might have some hope. I mean, I don't know. But the narcissist, it's highly likely that they will never see themselves. When you're going through a Kundalini awakening, you have to be able to see yourself and you have to be able to accept what she shows you and then work with it. Do shadow work, inner child work. Kundalini will show you previous lives. The reason you're doing what you're doing right now is because this in a previous life. It'll show you in your dreams. We've been here many, many times before. And we have not always been the good guy, nor have we always been the bad guy. Although both of those energies are within all of us. We've done some horrible things in previous lives, and we've been some beautiful people in previous lives. But we bring all that energy with us. And you've been different races in previous lives. You chose this race in this life, this gender in this life for a reason. The narcissist relies on the false self. Kundalini will make you see yourself on the deepest cellular level. And she ain't no joke. So when an empath has a Kundalini awakening, they'll start doing their yoga. They might work with plant medicine. They might work with meditation. They might work with, another partner who understands spiritual awakening and work with them in a sexual manner. The Kundalini sex is the most beautiful sex you can ever have. But having the right partner, now there you go. Good luck to you on that. When Kundalini starts going through your chakra system, when she starts rising up, some of the symptoms you can have. Now, this was the question the young man had left, and I tried to help him understand what was happening to him because it was very obvious to me what was happening to him. Kundalini Awakening, people who have had Kundalini Awakenings, we recognize each other. I have not talked about Kundalini Awakening here lately. I've been talking about the narcissist empath dynamic. This young man comes on my page on a narcissist empath dynamic YouTube and asks me about his symptoms, in which I immediately knew were Kundalini. I knew she was calling me to go to work. And young man, if you're listening, if you have any questions or anything, you can always reach out. But I'm primarily making this YouTube because of your post. So when Kundalini awakens in the empath, they immediately start getting downloads: yoga, plant medicine, meditation, powerful sexual encounters, balance, grounding. They immediately start getting these downloads. When narcissists have a Kundalini awakening, remember that the narcissist lives in the false self. Kundalini is going to make you see who you are. So when a narcissist has a Kundalini awakening, the ego intensifies. There's little or no chance of them doing the work that requires to integrate the energy. Because although Kundalini is always at the base of the spine, when she wakes up, the body, the physical body and the spiritual body now have to be integrated, like the two snakes on the caduceus. On the caduceus, the two snakes start at the root chakra, they go up to the crown chakra, and then you'll see the wings. This is a sign of the mind being free, opening. Psychic abilities come. Premonitions come. Prophetic dreams come. Creativity comes. The narcissist may use those abilities as a weapon. That's even if they're that grounded. The narcissist can become unhinged because their biggest fear is not having the false self, because somewhere along the line they've abandoned the real self. Some of them through hereditary, although there's no proof them saying hereditary, but there is a lot of evidence saying hereditary, like it's passed through the genes. And some of them because they have been abused in some way. But they abandon the real self, and they take on the false ego. When Kundalini goes through the empath, there's no room for ego. Honey, she is going to break you down to the lowest common denominator. You are going to see every dark corner of your soul, not only in this life, but previous lives. And when she starts running through your body, you're on an assignment to not only break the curses within you, but the generational curses. You may not see that in the family outside of you. You may not see it. But when you're fighting in Kundalini or when you're processing Kundalini, I don't want to use the word fighting because you don't want to fight her. You want to flow with her, no matter how rough it gets. And you are battling lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes of generational curses. You're healing all of the violence that you have been through throughout your life, all the sexual assault, all the child molestation, all that stuff will come up. It'll come up in weird ways. You have to sit with it. You have to see it, and you have to know who you are in this lifetime. One of the ways that I deal with that, darkness comes up, because it still happens. Darkness comes up, and I'm like, man, that is sick. Why would that even come up to my mind? I remind myself of who I am in this lifetime. And I sit with it and I process it. I may have been that in a previous life. Generations before me may have been that in a previous life. But in this lifetime, I am a self-healer. In this lifetime, I protect children. I protect women. I honor the human race. In this lifetime, I stand in my power and I do it with dignity. You got to talk to yourself like that. Because, baby, let me tell you, you process it, you write it down, you journal it. This is what I saw. Blah, 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 blah. This is, and you some things you just know instinctively because you're so here that some things you just know instinctively are from a previous life and that it's being presented to you to process it. When it was presented to the other person, they probably thought, oh, that's who I am. And they just started being that way. If that makes sense. I don't want to ramble. Kundalini will take you through a dark night of the soul like you've never been through. This will shatter. The narcissist will become unhinged if they're not in control of the persona. They're not in control of the false ego. They will become unhinged. I wouldn't doubt it if some of these people that you're seeing walking down the street just talking to themselves and da, 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 I wouldn't doubt it if they haven't had a Kundalini awakening and they just couldn't handle it. The ego couldn't take it. Kundalini awakening does not heal narcissism. Whatever is in you when you have a Kundalini awakening is amplified. Now you got to take that in perspective, because Kundalini will show you some things that have happened to you, that have happened in previous lives, and you have to sit with that and process it. That's what I'm saying. You have to be here enough and out of the ego enough to see what is yours and what is yours. What are you healing from previous lives and from the past? What is yours in this lifetime? And what is attached to the energetic body that's been birthed over and over again? Because when you're birthed into this lifetime, right? You're in your south node. If you know anything about astrology, your south node is your previous life or your younger years. Because in your younger years, you carry a lot of the energy from the previous life. That's why it's called the south node. It's what was before you, but you bring that energy with you. Well, you're bringing energy from a little bit of everything from every single life. I was a medicine woman in previous lives, and I am so now. So it's kind of like, if you know anything about astrology, the south node is your previous life. Your north node is where you're supposed to be heading in this life. So Kundalini is taking you to your north node. But you're clearing energy. She's clearing energy from previous lives. And you can't just say, oh, she's going to do the work and I'll just sit here. Nope. You got to do the work. Shadow work, inner child work, journaling. I know this sounds repetitive, but this is the work that needs to be done. You got to see it. You got to accept it. You got to embrace it. Let's talk about some symptoms of Kundalini awakening. Kundalini awakening can put you in fight or flight when it's going through the root chakra. It can put you in fawning or just abundance and love when it's going through the heart chakra. When Kundalini is working through the body, there's a vibration because it is a literal energy within your body that lies dormant in the root chakra. It's a vibration. Your feet may vibrate. Your legs may vibrate. You may have spontaneous orgasms. You can feel Kundalini in the sacral chakra. Your heart may feel like you're having a heart attack, like it's just a pain. I'm almost positive that's what a heart attack feels like. It's like an air bubble just, and I actually heard it. It was like pain. And I was in Peru by myself. Nobody knew where I was at. And I was able to think, and I said, oh my God, I am going to die here in Peru. I'm going to have a heart attack right here in Peru. And I distinctly remember thinking that figures that I would die internationally. I love being international. It's where I'm most happy, right? Figures that I would die where I'm most happy. And when it broke through my heart, I heard an actual, like a pop. Now that was 4 years after I had my original Kundalini Awakening. My arms started vibrating. My hands started vibrating. I literally scratched the skin off of my hands because they were vibrating so bad. I couldn't sleep because my scalp was vibrating. It was like, it was a constant vibration. I still have this. I still have it. I have yet to find anything that soothes that. So if you know of anything outside of some allergy pill or something, because I have taken those just to stop it so I can just get some peace. If you know anything of that stops that vibrating in the scalp, I would appreciate it. Drop it in the comments. You may have something like when Kundalini is going through the throat, you may stutter or make random noises. Because she's going through the throat, breaking up that energy, which is a sign that in your youth, you were not able to speak your truth. A child should be seen and not heard type of energy. And so you may stutter or make random noises. There's something that's called, when it starts going through the third eye, you'll see stuff out of your peripheral vision. You'll see flashes like lightning, like electricity. When it starts going through the crown, you could have migraine headaches. The lower chakras will cause all the fear, the anxiety, the weird sexual energy. That's like frantic. When it starts going up here, it starts feeling more medical. Like Kundalini can mimic a serious medical issue. And you can be diagnosed with things like Tourette's syndrome or schizophrenia, because when it starts going through the third eye and stuff, you start having these wild dreams and stuff. You're just like, whoa. When it starts going through the sacral chakra down here, people who have been sexually assaulted or molested in some way, they can feel like it's a violation because Kundalini feels like an entity that's outside of yourself, that's inside of your body. People will mistake it for like some demon or something. But it's not. It's you. It's your energy that has been lying dormant. And so when Kundalini starts going through your sacral chakra and you have spontaneous orgasms and you're not, you can have a feeling of being violated by something outside of you. I ain't gonna lie, it's pretty intense. This is why I say that the Kundalini Awakening is designed for the empath. The narcissist cannot. They cannot. They will become unhinged. When you have a Kundalini Awakening, you have to integrate the energy. That requires discipline, grounding, meditation, the dark work I'm telling you about, the shadow work, the inner child work. You have to, that dark night of the soul time comes, you need to go in hermit mode, isolate, work through it. This is very intense. And when you're around people who don't understand or overstand Kundalini Awakening, they'll look at you and say, oh, you're going crazy. Something's wrong with you. You need to go to the hospital. You need to be in a straitjacket. So not only is the inside of your body shifting and breaking up trauma and you having to process it, but everybody around you is like, ooh, something wrong with you. I told you not to be doing that yoga. I told you not to be messing with that plant. I told you not to be, I told you, you need to pray to Jesus. I'm convinced that Jesus has had a Kundalini Awakening. The Bible mentions it a few times. We're not going to that. But the serpent, in the tree, and if you eat the fruit, which is the shrooms, the mushrooms, plant medicine, then you will have the same knowledge as God, the tree of life, as above the crown chakra, so below the root chakra. We're not going to go into all that. My point today was to give some information on Kundalini Awakening, some of the things that can happen. You can also have something, I have to reel myself back in. You can also have something, another sign, you can have something called kriyas, where the body just jumps, or you're asleep and you just sit up in the bed. That shit is wild. Or you may go doing mudras, and they're spontaneous mudras with the hands. Some people, this hadn't happened to me, but some people will even say you can go into yoga, you go into spontaneous yoga positions. It's all involuntary. When someone has a top-down Kundalini Awakening, they can become, that's what the DSM-5 refers to as a spiritual emergency. Because the people you see walking around, I'm God, I'm the Mother Mary, I'm Jesus, I am the one that's come back, I am the chosen who has come back to save the world. That person has had a top-down Kundalini Awakening. The crown chakra is wide open. And they become unhinged. They basically have a mental health crisis. And if you go to the hospital with that, they're going to put you in a straitjacket. You go to the hospital with Kundalini, period, you're going to be diagnosed with something that you probably don't even have. And then you'll manifest it because that's all you have to hold on to figure out what's going on with you. That's why I'm trying to give you some pointers on how it happens, why it happens, and that you can look into the spiritual side of it, that you're not locked into the medical side of it, and they dumb your spiritual awakening down with a bunch of antidepressants and drugs and painkillers and all that, because Kundalini can hurt too. You can have aches and pains in your joints. She is going through there clearing all that junk out. So one has to integrate the spiritual body, the Kundalini, in the physical body, because otherwise you can feel very fragmented. Yoga and meditation helps that. Now, sometimes these things of yoga and meditation, because Kundalini can lie dormant, and then you do a good class of yoga, or you do a good meditation, and you'll feel the vibration again, like I felt it here today in my shoulders, in the back of my neck. Almost like she was saying, activating the throat chakra, saying, you need to speak about me. Another thing the narcissist will do is the narcissist denies the shadow. They deny the shadow. Anytime you try to point out something that the narcissist has going on, they will deny it. They will project. No, that's you. That ain't me, that's you. And you can't deny the shadow with a Kundalini Awakening. You can't deny it. So it requires intense shadow work, intense inner child work, intense effort to integrate the two. And only the empath has that ability. I'm telling you, it is the awakening of the unhealed empath, the healing of the empaths, because we have come back not to group up in some clique and be a gang and be a cult and all that, but as an individual person to raise the vibrational frequency of the earth. We are the ones that we have been waiting on. That doesn't mean you go be some religious fanatic and some psychopathic spiritual person and you have all the answers and all that. No. When an unhealed empath becomes healed, their vibrational frequency alone heals others. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be anything. You can do and be whatever you want to be. I mean, you're a free being. But I mean, you don't have to go over the top with spirituality. Just do what you love. And in doing what you love, you will heal others. Kundalini will bring to you what you love, stuff that you never even thought of. Like, well, I didn't know I liked to do that. I didn't know I liked to paint. I didn't know I liked building things. I didn't know I like electronics. I didn't know I had the ability to teach. Kundalini will bring it all out of you. So if you're having a Kundalini awakening, or you suspect that you're having a Kundalini awakening, please take some of the tips that I've offered here. There's all types of information on the internet about Kundalini awakening and how you can process it, how you can integrate it, how you can embrace it to make your Kundalini awakening as gentle as possible. Now, she gonna do what she gonna do, but you're gonna have to be there with it. You can't make it go away. Once she's activated, hey, it's game time. You're having a Kundalini awakening and you don't realize it. You start doing stuff like wearing certain spiritual jewelry or tying your hair, or you just start doing stuff that you wouldn't normally do. Being drawn to yoga or being drawn to Tai Chi and yoga, and all of a sudden you're meditating. You ain't never meditated in your life. Honey, that's Kundalini. It is the most powerful, intense spiritual awakening that one can have. Remember that it requires intense shadow work, intense inner child work, and the integration of them both. You can find tons of information out there. Well, that's all I have for you today here on Closing the Gap, where we make a conscious effort to meet you where you're at on your healing and your spiritual journey. We'll see you next time. And if you have any questions about Kundalini, drop them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I really want to go live with you guys, but I have to have like 1,000 subscribers. So we're just being patient. We're just waiting. But like and subscribe. And if you're really feeling my vibe, hit that bell notification. Yeah? I thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time here on Closing the Gap.